So one chilly night in late December, I'm laying about, all comfy in bed, when I suddenly remember that, oh, hey, I'm a YouTuber. Shouldn't I be doing things like, I don't know, making videos? I've been thinking about setting something up anyway. Figured I could just wake up on Wednesday and make a video on that. So, like the hard worker I am, I decided to do this for my viewers and proceeded to completely forget about it. And it's been over a month, please, I'm sorry. My complete lack of time management aside, we have this little glass cube here. Got a little 5x5 inch footprint, a bit small even by traditional standards. This subset of nano aquascaping is known as picoscaping, usually below 5 gallons in volume. They usually suffer from parameter instability, but I should be fine, since I plan on keeping tough stuff in it. To start off, we take a bag of aqua soil, which we will carefully open. I repeat, carefully open. With great precision. With great precision. Come on now. With great precision, we carefully pour out some professional aqua soil to use as the base for our picoscape. And before you guys say anything, yes, I know it says professional, not professional. It's a knockoff. We're gonna have to live with that. Oh, come on, man, I said carefully. We then mix in some aquarium gravel, which I will later realize is a horrible mistake. And then it's off to select the hardscape. Thankfully, as a hoarder, I happen to have a couple of those lying around. It's not much, they're just a couple of tiny fragments that got knocked off of larger pieces. But for such a small tank, they'll do perfectly well. Looking through my little stockpile, I quickly found a little arch piece that I thought looked quite nice, and I set out finding a structural support for it, because, as you'll see later, it was not very stable. At all. We good? Okay, there we go. With the arch piece stable, I could look for other accompanying pieces to... Oops. As I was saying, I added a couple of other pieces to add a little bit of dimension to the structure, and into the tank they went. Balanced atop these little pellets of death, it quickly became apparent that this arch structure was not stable in the slightest, so I eventually had to add in a couple of other stones just to make sure that it wouldn't topple over again once I started adding water. And foreshadowing inbound, this would not be the last time I had to deal with that. It was also at this point that I decided that I would add a bit more aqua soil. And it was at that moment that I'd realized I'd fucked up with the gravel. Several very painful attempts later, I finally managed to get it to a shape that looked sort of nice, so I turned my attention back to the landscape. I slipped in some rocks around and behind the arch, to act as retaining walls so I could give the back a little bit more height, giving it a little bit more of that rocky mountain landscape that I was going for. In an attempt to rectify my earlier mistakes, I sprinkled more gravel to lighten up the ground and carved out the arch a little more. With the addition of 2 large triangular pieces to the back corners, the hardscape was done, and it was time for plants. Going into the aquarium is a collection of plants that took me months to assemble. 2 very rare Anubias, a cutting of Cryptocorin Wendtii tropica that I admittedly never used in the build, 4 varieties of the ever-elusive Bucephalandras, including a Black Pearl and a Lamandau Purple Mini, and a tiny sprig of Blood Red Rotala. First into the aquarium was the Blood Red Rotala, sitting in the midground just beneath the back left structure. Next up was the Black Pearl, which was nestled just beneath the arch structure. Then came the Purple Lamandau, which thankfully nestled itself right into the top of the arch. Okay, so it definitely doesn't look very well anchored in the video, and I apologize for that. They definitely weren't. Don't worry, I fixed it later. Just deal with it for a little bit. The Supernova Anubias nestled itself quietly into a nook on the left. While the Nanapinto was just casually laid down on the right. The Mystery Buse was gently laid down in front, and with the initial planting done, it was time to fill the aquarium. Of course, everything took the opportunity to immediately start floating away, and I had to wrestle a couple of them back into place. Yes, I know I could have superglued them in place, but I prefer my plants to have a little bit more flexibility with where they're planted. As an afterthought, I decided to plant some very uncooperative Java moss, which you can see I'm getting frustrated with pretty quickly. And with that, our mountain peakoscape is finally complete. Plants peek from the cracks. Canyons carve through the rocky hills. And stony peaks pierce liquid skies. First to enter these silty waters was a red ramshorn snail. Unfortunately, its large shell was far too bulky for the tank, and it had to be removed before it could uproot any of the plants. but I wasn't about to let that 10-minute time lapse go to waste. I did also add some Daphnia to the aquarium. Thankfully, they get to stay, due to their natural feeding habits, which stir the water and filter out particles before they can rot. And cut. Okay, time to clean up this mess. I've been at this for 2 fucking hours. I think a lot of people know this, but aquascaping is not a quick process, and it's not pretty. There's so much water on here. Oh boy, that's not good for the table. Okay. Oh boy, this is gonna take a while. One week later, it seems that the tanks settled in pretty well. I did end up adding more plants to the tank after the fact, including this dwarf aquarium lily and some dwarf hairgrass that you'll probably see later on in the video. As expected, not all the plants are doing great. The Supernova Anubias has melted back quite a bit, being reduced to only a single leaf. The blood red Rotala isn't doing great either, having turned slightly green in the 7 days since I planted it, though this is to be expected, given the dimmer lighting. In place of the old ramshorn snail, I decided to add 2 blueberry snails, the larger having a dark shell, and the smaller with a lighter mottled shell. They're a lot less intrusive towards the plants, which I'll take as a sign that they'll do well in this aquarium. Mucking about beside them are yellow cherry shrimplets, which seem perfectly content searching around in the aqua soil for food. Zipping above everybody else are the Daphnia, which have doubled in size since we last saw them. Every time I try to get footage with them, they go crazy, swarming the light and dancing about like their god has returned. The other inhabitants are just as active, crawling about beneath the false white sun. A lot can happen in the months to come if I'm not careful. Ammonia spikes, algae blooms, any number of little changes could send this little scape crashing down like stones down a mountain. It definitely won't stay like this, and most of the inhabitants will inevitably outgrow their tiny home, but until that time comes, I think it'll be quite a bit of fun watching them grow. To everybody still watching, I'd like to thank you all for sticking around. This was in many ways an experiment for me, and starting on the Lunar New Year was the perfect time to just mess around with designs and try things out. I don't normally get a lot of time to do things like this, and it's even harder to record them all. So if you'd like to see more, feel free to let me know. I'll try my best to do consistent updates on these little guys. And if enough people decide that they'd like to see more builds, maybe I'll take some time to start up another one. Until next time, peace out.